Good Pete. I've been with Ashy Building Material for 7 years now.
Bruce Bowman. I've been with Doug Ashley for a little over 3 years now.
Okay, what we're going to discuss today is how to remove the drywall after a flood has hit your home. One of the first things you want to do when you start removing it is cut your main breaker to your house, because you don't want to end up cutting any wires.
You can tell how much sheetrock you'd have to cut out by the water level, which will be evident in the house. There were a lot of homes in the recent storm that is probably going to be a total removal of sheetrock and insulation, but in most cases, the majority is going to be probably your first level, which your sheetrock would be hung horizontally. Okay, so you'd have 4 feet on the bottom with another 4-foot sheet on the top. So you would find your seam and cut the bottom section out and remove it.
Now, some people like to remove as little sheetrock as possible. What we would recommend is to cut off 6 to 12 inches above your water line. And by going your 4 foot, it makes it a cleaner cut, like Mr. Bruce says, because you find your seam. You know, some people like to go the 2 foot. I wouldn't go the 3 foot because you have too much waste on your sheetrock. You know, so your 2 foot, you wouldn't have as clean as a cut because there's no seam there. But your 4 foot with your seam, you'll have a cleaner cut to go around and less sheetrock wasted. If you happen to want the same colors in your home that you had previously, what you need to do is save just a small piece the size of a quarter or bigger, and we can match up your paint when you're ready to repaint it.
The other thing, if you do have to take out from stud to stud, for whatever reason on the wall, you would use what we have as a stud finder. Where you put it on, and you run along your wall, and there's your stud when it lights up.
And what you want to do at that point is mark it, because when you're cutting with your sheetrock, you don't want to end up hitting any electrical wires that's running along these studs. So there's your stud, so you may want to mark it like on each side, like where to stop cutting at, because you don't want to go any further.
When you remove the baseboard, before you, so you can tell where to measure from with your sheetrock, use a flat bar similar to this, using the flat end with a hammer. And you go to the top side of your baseboard and pull out. And then it pull across. Then you measure from the bottom of your baseboard here up 4 feet, and that shows you where
And we do recommend you replacing your baseboards. Anyway, when you take them off, if you think they still look fine, we recommend you replacing them, because the water that has gone in your home is pretty contaminated with all kinds of stuff. You don't want it to be left in there. So what we'll do, we'll make a 4 foot mark all the way across the sheetrock. And once we do that, we'll use what we call a chalk line. And pop a chalk line, and that way we'll have a straight line to be able to cut. Put your chalk line on your markings. Just pull it and pop it. Pull it away from it. You have your line for it to cut.
If you're not real good at cutting a straight line, you may want to put a straight edge, have someone hold a straight edge right along that line to where you can cut. You want to make sure you have a good sharp blade, and you're not going to cut all the way through the sheetrock on one cut. You know, it's going to have to be done in layers. So you find your line. repeat it again until you go all the way through the sheetrock. In between the studs, you could actually use sheetrock salt. You can go in, cut along the line, all the way down. Right here, where the stud is, you continue to cut and then pop it off with a hammer or flat bar.
Once you remove your sheetrock, you will have insulation behind there that will also need to be cut out. Just make sure your insulation that you cut out all of it that's gotten wet, because you don't want to leave anything in there.
And on the insulation will act as a sponge. So you may have some past this point that it actually went up. Okay, it's gonna act just like a sponge and pull up. If the insulation got wet past that point, that means this sheetrock is wet, even though it's not on the front side, it is on the back side. So then the top side would have to come off also. Anything wet, you need to take out. And we didn't say it at the beginning, but one thing you need to consider, I think Monica mentioned contamination. Anytime there's flood water, it's contaminated. So therefore gloves, boots, fresh air masks, you need to have that on because you do not know what, germs or bacteria you may be dealing with. And once you have this line cut here, you want to bust a hole so you can start tearing the sheetrock out.
And once you start tearing your sheetrock out, you can have contractor bags handy to where as you tear, because it's not going to break even like this, it's going to come out in pieces because
it's wet.
So what you can do is have a contractor bags with your trash cans ready to load up and stuff. Or another thing you can do is if you have a lot to tear out, you can get the thick meal biscuit, like the 10 by 100 or 12 by 100, and just roll it out, put all your trash in the middle of it, and that way you can just tie it up all together. It might save you from trash bags. Okay, once the sheetrock is removed, you then have to cut out your insulation. Like I said, try to cut out everything that has gotten wet. Once you get your insulation, your sheetrock out, your insulation out, your 2x4s are naturally going to be wet. So that's when the dehumidifier comes in handy and running your air conditioner for a few days to give it time for those 2x4s to dry out. Now they may start mildewing before you come back with your sheetrock. Once they totally dry, you can get like a moisture meter and put on them. It'll tell you how much moisture is left in the wood. Once you have the minimum amount of moisture or no moisture at all, we have a primer called a mold killer primer. You can put it over existing mold. That is a good idea to put on your 2x4s to protect them, to stop the mold from keeping growing, and you don't want the mold to eat up the lumber. And once you have your studs dried out, clean, primed, when you go back to restore your insulation, you'll cut the length that you need. And they have the little flaps in the insulation that makes it easier to use a staple gun to where you can just staple your insulation right back in where you had the old one at. You don't have to worry about cutting studs or anything. But just one thing, make sure your studs are mildew-free, mold-free, dry as possible. They said have moisture meters. That'll do, you have dehumidifiers to run. And down here, you can't give it a certain time to dry out. With the humidity and stuff down in Louisiana, you never know how long it's going to take to dry out. That's why we suggest using the moisture meter.
Yeah, moisture meter to check it. Again, dehumidifiers, blowers, fans, anything to move air in the house. Okay, once the power is back on in that home, you want to have the air conditioner running as low as possible, 68 degrees, something like that. That will assist your dehumidifier in taking the moisture out of the home. Again, air movement. If you have ceiling fans in the house, once you turn the power back on, turn all the ceiling fans on, get blowers, get box fans, get shop fans, whatever you can. The more air moving the quicker it's gonna dry. But your house needs to be closed up. You don't want to leave windows open, doors open, whatever. At that point, once you're ready to dry the walls and everything, you want the house closed to do that.
And don't rush the process. You know, you want to hurry up, you want to get your house back in order, but you want it to be a safe home also. You gotta remember, your doors may not look like they're absorbing water, but most homes have the hollow core doors, so it will absorb water. And just replace your doors, replace your door frames.
Yeah.
You know, just don't take any chances. Don't, you know, shortcut yourself anywhere. It's better to get rid of it and replace it than you getting sick when you move back into your home because it moved in it.
Or a door's not working properly because they won't shut correctly because the door itself has swollen up. You know, it'll affect the operation of the door. You know, and in the long run, you won't be happy with your home at that point. You know, so anything that got wet, get rid of. That's the main thing. You know, it's not worth trying to save it in the long run because you're going to have a problem with mold, with mildew, with stuff not working right. Just get it out and get rid of it.
And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, you can call any of our Ashy locations and we'll be more than happy to help you out.